Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore.
Welcome to Something Came from Baltimore. I am your host, Tom Gauker, and I have a disclaimer to this episode with Joey DeFrancesco. I am an early fan of his work, and I remember seeing him playing over 30 years ago, so I will always be rooting for him, and Joey doesn't disappoint because his last recording is an epic event. More Music is Joey DeFrancesco's latest recording. It was released on September 24, 2021 on the Mack Avenue Records. We're going to go down memory lane a little, and we're going to chat about Joey's school days with Christian McBride and Questlove from The Roots. And we're also going back to my jazz learning ground, a jazz club in Philadelphia called the Orlieb's Jazzhauz, where Joey played and I watched over 30 years ago. These conversations can be found on an interview of Joey DeFrancesco on the Something Came from Baltimore YouTube page if you want to check all that out. Remember to subscribe and to flip the 5 people because we want you all to be a part of that Be More Music scene. So let's get into the interview with Joey DeFrancesco. And before we do that, we want to sample the song More Music. It's the name of the album and it's the name of a song. All right. Well, Joey, I want to thank you very much. Welcome to Something Came from Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You know, we spoke on July 8, 2019, and this is like one of the first times I'm able to catch up with someone, you know, from album to album. So I'm going to ask you some follow-ups from the previous interview. We were talking about In the Key of the Universe, which I voted as the best album of the year for the Grammys.
Oh, thank you.
I thought it was a great album, along with this album, More Music, which came out September 20th on the Mack Avenue record label.
Yes.
When we were talking previously, you were a vegan and you were slimming down. It looks like you continued that process because the new promo pictures, you look really thin.
Thank you. I'm not vegan.
No?
But not yet. I still eat fish, you know.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
But yeah, you know, it just over the past, you know, it's taken a long time, but slowly, but this last year, couple of years, we really had time to concentrate and get more health conscious. And I had already been doing that and just really sped it up process and getting into it and swimming and going for nice walks in the desert and things. And so that's, you know, been something I wanted to do, you know. When
we were talking in 2019, we were mentioning spirituality and that you were hitting a groove with that album. That was becoming a larger part in your life. So we're just doing a catch up. Did that evolve even more for you or, you know?
Yeah, that evolves more every day, you know, being more aware of things and paying attention to what's going on. Just with, you know, nature and being around that and your surroundings. And it affects the music. It affects everything in your life. It's very important. That's something we all have in us, but it's something that you have to, as you mature, you pay more attention to it, it comes out more, you know, hopefully. That's the goal. And I'm learning more and more about it every day.
During COVID, you didn't sit still. You were still working. And were you more on an Arizona area or were you bouncing back and forth from Philadelphia?
Well, we didn't work. I mean, March 15th was my last gig actually in DC. We did the last gig at Blues Alley before things got shut down. So March 16th, I was on an airplane coming back to Arizona. You know, we figured whatever, a couple weeks, just like everybody else, and we'll be back at it. And then that turned into, you know, what it has turned into. But from that time, and then I did one gig in front of an audience in November of 2020 in St. Louis. And then we did a couple of streams. I did the Melbourne Jazz Festival in June of 2020. And then I did some, live streams on my own just for people, to do them. I did the Jazz Cruise did a stream that we recorded in October of 2020 in California with George Benson, Marcus Miller. And that was fun. We did that. But yeah, primarily, it was home, just dealing with the situation, and bittersweet situation, because it was nice to have some time off and really think about the music and, play my instruments and write more new tunes. And that's how more music came out,
Yeah, we're going to get into more music. I see these albums come out, like they're more and more spectacular. I think that you're in a groove where your albums are almost becoming events, and the look on the album cover is really awesome. Your look is amazing. It's like you could easily be doing standards and just pumping out albums, but I feel that this is an event album. This is a really cool album.
Well, thank you. It is an event. That's how every album, especially over the last probably 10 years, has been like an event.
Exactly.
And I like it. And I've always loved going into the studio, prepping for it, the whole thing. And more music. I mean, the title, you were talking about In the Key of the Universe, that's what those titles and what they are. They're themes. And they're really how I feel at the moment. There's nothing contrived about it. It is what it is. And then More Music is a situation where we had to get back to it. Just, there's nothing like it. Music is what gets you through everything. It really is. When people take it for granted for sometimes about how important it is. If you think about your life without it, it's crazy. If you watch a TV show, a movie, anything, the music is the emotional part of it. That's why More Music it means a lot of things. It means that. It means I'm into other aspects of the instrumentation of what I'm doing. I have a band that's basically two bands in one. It's something that I've been looking at doing for a while. We started doing it already before pandemic. We just got interrupted, but we kept talking about what we were going to do. And I got deeper into writing music for these specific situations. Yeah, I like that. They're like events. They're like it's a storybook. And then I like to get to the point too in a recording. Of course, and what that means is, without the need for long solos. Now, if you get into something really is musical, okay, we could have a longer song. I mean, In the Key of the Universe, we had Greater as a Master Plan was 11 minutes long, but it feels like it's 2 minutes when you listen to it because there's something happening that keeps you there and captured. But, I like the theme and, a good feel and a nice improvisation. So it gives us the perfect vehicle to play this music live and open it up even more so that when people come to see you, they have an idea of the selections and what you're going to do, but they get even more of an honest feeling of the music, because you're improvising even more and you can stretch it out more and explore live right there in front of everybody.
Okay, I'm going to get into this album in a couple minutes, but I have one really off-the-wall question. I interviewed Delvon Lamar for the Organ Trio just recently, and we were talking about organ music. If you were a little kid, maybe you're younger than me, when you roller skated, it was only organ music. It wasn't pop songs. And
yeah, that's true. Go ahead.
Why was that? Why was it just organ? Like, the reason I think I love organ music so much is that when I was a little kid, we'd go roller skating and it was only organ music and it was very cool. And that equals a good time for me. But why were they doing that? Do you even know? Like, what was the reason for that?
Well, because first of all, I'm 50, so I caught the tail end of that. I was there was a skating place in Philadelphia in the suburbs of Philly. And yes, they had an organ. They had like 12 Leslies in there. I remember that all around the place, Leslie speakers. I think because of the way the sound carried, and it was just a very smooth kind of sound, and you could hire one guy. So it was affordable, and it could fill the room before. And then also to play music from, like a DJ, or now they just play. You had to pay for that too. You had to pay ASCAP, BMI, and things, so it was a lot easier to just hire a cat one guy play the organ, get a big sound. He covers the bass, he covers all that. And for many years it was a Hammond. Then it turned into one of the organs that had the rhythm machines on it and all that. So, but yeah, that's a good analogy. It had a certain feeling. But at the same time, I never want anybody to say that when I'm playing, it sounds like a roller rink.
He said that he was thinking about doing an album title, Music to Roller Skate too. Yeah,
that's a good idea.
I'm not crazy. This happened in my past, so I feel good. So we're going to get into this album. It's called More Music. It came out on September 2021 on the Mac Avenue label. And we were talking about your situation with Victor North. Right. The second song on the track, I believe, is Lady G, which is a tribute to your wife, Gloria, who is awesome. You did a great job. You pulled out the tenor sax for that. It has a nice Ben Webster vibe to it.
I'll take that. I love Ben Webster. The first thing that I think about, that I thought about when I wanted to play, like when I told you I played many years ago, we're talking like for maybe a week. That was it. So this is really the time where I got into it. So the first thing I think about, especially after a lot of experience of being around all these great musicians, and saxophone, tenor in particular, has always been a huge influence on my playing. I mean, my approach to the organ has always very much been like saxophone. My players like Coltrane and Sonny Rollins, George Coleman, those were where I got a lot of influence from my improvisational ideas harmonically, right? But then when you start to play the instrument, you really start to pay attention to sound. So the first thing I thought about, I want to make sure I have a good sound, or I'm not gonna bother with that. And I think a lot of that is already in your mind, what you want to sound like. And if you already have that in your mind, it's going to come out on the instrument once you figure out how to work it, Yeah, and that tune, I had been playing it a little bit. That's one song that I wrote in 2019, because in 2019 is when I started playing the saxophone on gigs. Because the band I had at the time, that was when In the Key of the Universe came out. Troy Roberts also played very nice acoustic bass and electric. But it gave a chance to put his saxophone down, and I would play one song a set, and he would grab the upright. So now it was like upright, tenor, and drums. So that's when I started doing that, because then I started thinking, wow, how hip would it be to have another keyboard player, another organ player that could take over when I do this. So that's what that came about. And that tune is just is the second tune that's named, Lady G. Yeah, that's Gloria, and I wrote for her. That's the vibe that, nice soulful vibe that I get with the melody on there. And it was like perfect for a nice breathy kind of tenor sound,
The next song I would like to talk about is Free, which is the first song on the album. It just jumps off. It's a beautiful jam, and you're on trumpet on this one, correct?
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't in general like to talk about what I'm doing and what I'm playing and what in general, just because it's like, it's a humbling kind of, you're trying to be, it's a humbling thing to be able to do this and write music and play it and get everybody to hear it. Right. So I don't want to just talk about what we are talking about. I'll talk about the ideas behind the songs and things like that. So yeah, Free was written specifically for me to play trumpet on. And basically it's a rhythm change with a very simple melody line that gives you the freedom to improvise over those rhythm change type changes with a little slightly different bridge to it. It's open, even though there's form. That's the thing about this music, is that there's form, but when you improvise, you're free to improvise. That's why it's good to have a lot of knowledge harmonically, so you could go all over the place. So that's really what that title means by free. You can go where you want,
When I interviewed you, I remember I would say, "What do you think about this song?" And you'd be like, "Well, what do you think about it?" Because he goes, "It doesn't really matter what I think about it; it's what you think about it." The next song I want to talk about is "If You Please." This is a Mario Romano song, and I did a little research on him. I'm not familiar with this song, so when I listened to it, he's from Toronto. He was a musician and became a real estate developer. And then
that's right.
Late in life, he started recording, and wow, this song is awesome. It's a great song.
Yeah, and he's an incredible songwriter. The lyrics he writes and the melodies and everything are beautiful. I mean, I can write, and I can write some nice songs, but I've never been one for lyrics. I wrote lyrics to one tune. And, that one was pretty good, I thought. But, it's not something that comes natural to me. But he's really writes beautiful melody and wonderful lyrics. And he's got a lot of songs like
And if you please, would you love me forever? Make this dream our endeavor. Let's send this prayer up to heaven. And if you please, let me love you forever. In this bliss I surrender my soul, my heart in sweet tender. From that first playful glance, full of sparkling romance, while the sigh in the sky whispers love so divine. Was it me, maybe you, how we knew this was true? Just a matter of time. I was yours, you were mine. Let our love be forever. Bless our hearts in each other. There's prayer, there's love, divine splendor.
In times of reflection, you got you on the organ and piano and trumpet, right? And then you got Lucas on acoustic guitar.
No, I'm playing piano on that.
Okay.
Yeah, Lucas is playing acoustic guitar. Lucas also played the bass lines on that too.
And then you did trumpet.
Yes, I played a trumpet solo on there as well because it just fit to do that. And that tune reminds me of, well, yeah, when you listen to it and you reflect on time and things that are happening, that have happened, it's got that vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
And you look at that, and it's got the acoustic guitar and the organ, and the piano. It reminds me of the vibe has got the Bill Evans, Jim Hall kind of feeling to it, but different. But that's the feeling I get.
I got one more for you, which is getting a lot of airplay, which is Roll With It. So you're on organ and Lucas is on guitar, right?
Yes. Okay. And
So,
Roll With It. Yeah, it's like, sorry, you have a question?
oh no, my statement was it feels like it's vintage. Like this could have been like a nice, like late 50s, early 60s song. Like this is an original recording of yours, but it has that vibe that it could have been very like placed back in that time period.
Well, it's a straight ahead tune. It's got, it basically what it is. It's a mesh of Confirmation, Charlie Parker, and Coltrane Giant Steps. But that wouldn't have been the way that melody and harmonically, the approach of that is very much modern. I mean, they wouldn't have written anything like that in that time. But it's okay that, it's got that vibe and that feel. I know what you mean. And I wanted to have something on there like that. And that's what Roll With It means, It's got everything. That's what more music means, right? It means a lot of things, but that's another thing. The tunes, it reflects on it. This is something that I've always been very big believer of, is to reflect the whole history of the music, not just one particular thing. Because to me, there are no differences. They all go together.
Yeah, I can see that with your last two albums along with this. I call this an epic recording. It's an event. It's called More Music. It's on Mack Avenue. I was very pro on your last album. I was out there promoting. If I could vote for you on the Grammys, I would have. I was out there on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook and Instagram pushing it. This album has a lot of meat to it. It's a multiple play. There's so much material in there that people are going to love. The virtuosity of your team and that you have on playing with you. It's called More Music, Mack Avenue, September 20th, 21st. Joey, I thank you very much for talking to me today on Something Came from Baltimore.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for being so knowledgeable about the music and my recordings. But also, since this is something about Baltimore, I'm going to be playing the Keystone Corner, October 29th through 31st for 3 nights. So it would be great if you could come out and check us out live.
I'll be down there. I'll make sure this time that I bump into you and say hi. I wish I had those cassettes. I would make you sign them.
That'd be cool.
I don't have them anymore, but I wish I did. All right.
That's all right.
Thank you very much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it. And I'm always a fan, and I can't wait to hear your next stuff.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. You're welcome. You have a good day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.